Hello, everybody, and welcome in for another episode of Beyond the Orange. I'm your host, Austin Price. Beyond the Orange brought to you by the great people at Knoxville Smiles. Coming up tonight on the show, we have Tennessee defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. Coach Knowles, you're a Philadelphia guy, born and raised. Take me through what it was like growing up in Philadelphia.
Well, there wasn't much grass. I mean, that's the first thing. You know, I remember finally getting the chance to play football, and it was quite a bit of ways away to, you know, actually find a field. So, you know, we're in the inner city, and you know, took the subway to high school every day. Was able to, you know, take a test, get into St. Joe's Prep, a great private school, and kind of get a scholarship there. So that changed my life, you know, kind of opened my eyes to what else might be outside of the city, because when you live inner city, you really don't get out of there very much. So that set me on a course, you know, and to get to, you know, an Ivy League school, and eventually led to coaching, really because of the guys who coached me when I was young. I mean, they were all cops and firemen and plumbers, and, you know, and they had a huge impact on my life growing up in a tough area, just like setting me on course and teaching me, you know, about discipline and teamwork and how important your grades were. So looking back, I don't know if I ever want to live inner city again.
Sure.
But you know, the experience was certainly a big part of me.
You wrestle at St. Joe's. You play football at St. Joe's. You go on to play football at Cornell. What did that experience teach you? Going from St. Joe's, really popular, you know, school, private school, to Cornell, an Ivy League institution.
Yeah, it just showed me how much was available in our world, in our country, and it kind of unlocked any fears I had about the future, or, you know, not knowing really what was out there. You know, I think St. Joe's Prep opened my eyes, and then Cornell opened my eyes to really where I could be anything that I wanted to be. You know, when you grow up in that inner city, and Philadelphia is very parochial and neighborhoodish, and, you know, sometimes it's hard to get out of that bubble. And I was the first in my family to go to college, so I didn't really know anything about what else was out there. And, you know, Cornell was a great place because of really the diversity, even though it was an Ivy League school, to show me all the things that could be available.
You grew up in a time where Philly sports, they were winning championships. I mean, Dr. J and the 76ers. I mean, you know, you had the Eagles doing their thing, you know, the Phillies. I mean, like, what was that like growing up in that city when they were, you know, pretty diverse in all the professional sports about, you know, bringing home some hardware?
Yeah. The Eagles made a Super Bowl back then with Dick Vermeil. I remember that, and lost. But I was during the time when the Flyers had a couple Stanley Cups, and I remember being out in the streets, you know, at the parade and everything, and, you know, got to be around some good Phillies teams. But, you know, I was also part of when the fans threw snowballs at Santa Claus, which is real, you know, really ice balls. So, you know, the fans there are pretty tough.
Do you think it made you tougher?
I think so. I mean, it certainly gives you a thicker skin, you know. You
talk about the guys that coached you at a young age. Do you ever find yourself when you're coaching, like, I kind of sound like Coach so-and-so, you know, like, you know, I mean, do you ever find yourself thinking back to some of those days?
Yeah, I do. I mean, the coaches, you know, when you're young, and I think still in college, that's why I've remained in college, you can really influence a young person's life, and those things stick with you. My college coach was Maxie Baughan, who was a great NFL player, played at Georgia Tech, and you know, All-American, and, you know, long career in the NFL, and he had a huge effect on me. So yeah, those are lasting impressions.
Philly's such a historical town, right? Constitution, Independence Hall, all that stuff. Tennessee's a historical place. what did you admire about Tennessee from afar before you got here? I mean, it's documented your daughter went here, but I mean, like what did you always admire about Tennessee?
Tradition. I think it just, again, when you're young and inner city, of course, I'm a little bit older, so we only had 3 channels on the television, but you always knew who Tennessee was, I mean, just kind of that, like that, the T was like a beacon, when you're like a young football fan and you don't know that much about the world, but that orange T was so recognizable. And even before my daughter went here, my affiliation with David Cutcliffe really kind of upgraded my knowledge about Tennessee and the tradition that was here and the expectations. I certainly remember the time of Johnny Majors and all the success that was that. Got to be around him a little bit, so
Sure.
kind of legendary a little bit, I guess, for me, as I was coming up in the profession, and always stood out as a premier place and a premier program.
What have you found since you've been here? Same thing?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, the resources are amazing. I think the commitment from our administration and what I see in terms of, competing in the transfer portal and the NIL world and the resources, that we have around the players, the care team, all those people who kind of touch the players. From all the places I've been, I mean, here it's second to none. All the resources available to players for every area of their life. And then Coach Heupel is just really different than any coach I've been around in the way that he is extremely down to earth. My fiance and I flew down here and to talk about the job. He picked us up at the airport, took us right to his house with his wife. I mean, that has never happened for me, on an interview or a time to meet people. It's really, family oriented is an overused word, but I do feel that here we have it stemming from Coach Heupel and the community. There seems to be just great support, I guess I would say, surrounding our players. Inside the building, outside the building with the fan base.
We'll talk more with Coach Knowles when we get back.
Matlock Tire Service and Auto Repair is proud to be celebrating 70 years of serving East Tennessee. That's 70 years of old school customer service, trustworthy auto repair, and of course, great deals on tires. Each one of our 5 convenient East Tennessee locations feature family-friendly waiting areas, and you can schedule appointments and search for tires right on our website at matlocktireservice.com. Modern convenience, hometown values. For 70 years and counting, Matlock Tire Service and Auto Repair.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance during our Super Summer Sales event.
And don't forget about back-to-school service savings on mobile, pickup, and delivery.
Come see the super dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location.
What's the #1 home improvement project you could do for your house? Install an Aqua Clear water system. If you see one of our blue and green trucks coming down the road, we're on our way to help another Tennessee family get better water. You owe it to yourself and your family to find out why 18,000 Tennessee homeowners have made the switch to Aqua Clear water systems. For your free water test and estimate, scan the QR code on the screen. We'll change your water. It'll change your life.
Hi, I'm Matt Marshall with Exterior Home Solutions.
Hi, I'm Dustin Woodson, also with Exterior Home Solutions.
We are now easier than ever to find, right off of I-75 and Merchants Road.
It's a new location, but the same trusted expertise in roofing and siding that you've come to trust over the past 25 years.
Local quality craftsmanship, licensed and insured.
For the best and most trusted name in roofing and siding, scan the QR code on your screen.
Exterior Home Solutions, when it has to be the best.
Beyond the Orange is brought to you by the great people at Knoxville Smiles. I'm going to ask you the tough question. What makes you smile?
You know, as a father, it's always your children and the success of your children. I think when it comes to the job, you know, the players, you do really, particularly when you reach my age, younger in my career, I thought of myself as a big brother. You know,
Sure.
now you're thinking of yourself as a father, almost grandfather, you know, which is kind of a tough thing for me to say. But I think those relationships that develop from, you know, bleeding together, sweating together, going through the ups and downs, and you know, being able to joke with those guys at some point, you know, to have that kind of back and forth relationship. I mean, I'm pretty hard on them, but challenging them, but I'm always waiting for those moments where they actually, you know, chirp back and try to stand up for themselves, because that shows me that, okay, you think you're getting it now. You think, you know, you have an opinion, you know, now you're not just listening to me. You're actually, you know, taking that all in, and then you're seeing something on the field that I challenge you on. And, you know, I think it makes me smile when they finally come back at me, you know, because when you're new, you know, and you're hard on them and you're really driving that ship, and they want to be coached. So they listen, they take it, you know. And then eventually, when they think they're right, you know, just like your children, then they start to kind of come back at you. That makes me smile, because then I'm like, okay, now we got something going.
When you first started to hear, or when I first started to hear your name with this job, I picked up the phone. I called Thomas and Devin Harper, who are from Carnes. They played for you at Oklahoma State. And they're huge fans, right? I mean, Thomas is with the Lions, Devin's out of football, but I mean, they talk about how much they learn from you. The guy they described, you know, will coach you, will climb up in you during practice, but loves you as soon as practice is over. And I said, you're describing Rodney Gardner. Like, that's the same type of guy. Like, just kind of an old school mentality. Take me through that, like, you know, how you're able to separate one from the other.
Yeah, I mean, it is old school. I think the new generation of coaching, you know, I guess we always say that about a younger generation, but you know, not that they're soft on them, but you know, it's just
it changes.
It's not in their nature. Yeah, it's not in their nature. Where we were raised by tough coaches. You know, you talk about what sticks with me from my youth is, you know, jumping off sides when I'm 7 years old and getting kicked in the butt and having to run a lap, you know, and 7, you know, my mother came in one practice. She's like, I can't come to any more of those practices. Those guys are too hard on you, you know, but that's the way they coached you back then. You know, you couldn't get away with that now, you know, but I love those guys. It still gives me goosebumps to think about them, because I love those guys. And that's what I want to have with my players, you know, just as Devin, and that's great to hear that they described it that way, because that's what I want to have. I want to be able to be hard on, like, you have to have high expectations of your players, you know, and you have to take your teaching seriously. If you're saying a kid can't learn, basically you're saying my teaching skills are not good enough, you know, and like coaches like to point fingers sometimes, and you know, I always point them at myself. I mean, it's my job to teach them. Now, so you got to push them to teach them. You got to be demanding, but they want that. Doesn't matter what generation it is. They still want to be coached as long as they trust you. You know, if they trust you, you can be demanding.
When you got here, how big was getting Anthony Poindexter, Andrew Jackson, and even with Michael Hunter here for a brief minute, and then you go get Derrick Jones, all guys that know your system. Then you add a few players from the transfer portal that know your system. How much does that help you install in spring and kind of flip things faster?
It's invaluable. It's invaluable. You know, you also, like, you know, in our business these days, we have the lead coaches, but we have a lot of other people around them. You know, as you know, Zadebski, Shane Eachus, you know, who I raised. He was a GA for me in Oklahoma State, and then an analyst at Penn State. You know, and then we're bringing in Josh Chorba. I just brought in from Ohio State, and Jorge was a student assistant for us at Penn State. Bradley Thomas was with me at Oklahoma State. David Parker from Penn State. You know, these are the people that they get a lot of work done. You know, they're the ones who get a lot of the playbook and all that stuff done, and they know what I do. And yeah, with Dex and AJ, and sorry to lose Michael, but DJ is fantastic, and he knows what I'm doing also. So you save a lot of time, because most of the time when my last couple times I've done this, I haven't really been able to bring anybody. So the majority of your time is spent teaching the coaches. You know, that's what you have to teach the coaches. And now that whole process can be sped up.
How did you predominantly have worked with linebackers, but how did an all-conference defensive end turn into a linebacker guru?
Well, I was a linebacker. You know, they eventually determined I was too slow. That's all. Yeah. That's basically what it was. You know, I was too slow, and I became a linebacker. But yeah, my defense coordinator in college. Well, I was a linebacker up until like maybe sophomore year in college and through high school and all through Little League. But my defense coordinator, who later worked for me when I was the head coach at Cornell, he'll tell you that I was one of those guys. Even if I was playing D end outside linebacker on one side, I'd be standing up, like yelling across to the other side. That's just how I saw the game. Like, I know, hey, play's coming over there. This guy's pulling, So I think I just always had that kind of vision to be able to see the game and see things before they happen.
We'll talk more about his vision for the Tennessee defense when we come back.
Brought to you by Food City. It's the Ask Coach Heupel Show.
Hello, and welcome to Ask Coach Heupel. I'm your host, Josh Heupel. Brent writes, Coach, know any good dad jokes? Hey Brent, thanks for asking. Why is grilling so great in Knoxville? Because the Vols always bring the heat. This has been Ask Coach Heupel, brought to you by Food City, the official tailgating headquarters of the Vols.
And backyard meatballs. Attention drives connection. Tell your story well. GoPopFizz.com/vol.
I'm Tennessee basketball player JP Estrella. Let me give you a tour here of the offices at Knoxville Smiles. Dr. Costa is placing implants with a robot, and it's all done digitally. There's no guessing with this since it's all robotic. Dr. Wilco is the newest addition to the office. He loves to research the latest and greatest in technology, so the other doctors go to him for the newest product information and techniques. Dr. Malone is building teeth in the mouth. To him, cosmetic bonding is more like artwork. He does this without cutting your teeth down. It's all about building them up. Guys, we still have a problem. Do y'all have a bigger chair?
The Volunteer Club is your all-access pass to the heartbeat of Tennessee athletics. Ride the orange wave to private events, limited edition merchandise, gifts, and more featuring your favorite UT athletes. Fuel the tradition, celebrate the wins, and stand shoulder to shoulder with the Volunteer family. The Volunteer Club is the home of the most passionate Volume fans. Join us today.
I was coming home and a lady hit me head on. It totaled my car, it fractured my right heel, and it bruised me up really badly. The Garza Law Firm, they were very compassionate, but yet they were very detailed. They didn't let me down. They never stopped fighting. It helped me regain confidence in law firms. I would definitely recommend the Garza Law Firm.
The Garza Law Firm.
Everybody ready?
Attention drives connection. Tell your story well. GoPopFizz.com/vol.
One of our proud presenting sponsors is Garza Law. Their motto is "Let us help." Who's helped you the most over the course of your career?
Well, I mean, I already mentioned David Cutcliffe, and I know he's got such a really storied tradition with Tennessee. So I'm not saying this just because of that. I would say it anyway. He helped me tremendously. I was kind of got my first big break with him at Ole Miss, and then was only there a brief time, and went back to be the head coach at Cornell, and then he brought me back with him at Duke, where I spent 8 years, and he and I collaborated really on, even though he was an offensive guy, I learned so much from him. in terms of organization and how to run a program, but also, we were able to go back and forth on, what hurts an offense, what are they looking for, so he really, I think, grew my career, and, I learned from him, a good carpenter doesn't complain about his tools, and, there's no excuses, and finding new ways, right? And because a lot of guys reach a certain age in this profession and they stop growing, they kind of get to be, well, this is the way I do it, and this is the way we're going to do it. And I grew a ton under him, just thinking about things in different ways. And then a lot in the Big 12. I think a lot of my growth as a coordinator too happened in the Big 12 under Coach Gundy, because of the way, they were really throwing the ball back then and things were wide open, so I had to come up with a few different things there, and that helped me become more complete, I think, as a coordinator.
Before we started talking, you told me that you felt like the team was kind of hungry, motivated, had a bad taste in their mouth from last year. I know last year didn't go as well for you when you made the move from Ohio State to Penn State, just in terms of, the season didn't go the way y'all wanted to as a whole, not defensively, just as a whole. Do you feel like that you're motivated just as much as the players are?
Yeah, I mean, look, with the 24 number one defense in the country, national champion, and go to Penn State, and you're exactly right. Things don't always go as planned. So, yeah, if you're a competitor, you want to be able to write a new script, and I think that's really one of the attractions here, is that there had been some past success, and last year defensively was not good, and Coach Heupel has really given me the opportunity to bring people in and write it the way I want to write it, and yeah, I'm excited for that.
What can Tennessee fans expect out of your defense? I mean, I know they've been watching film, they've been trying to research it and stuff, but what, looking at stats, but what do you feel like they can count on?
Schematically, yeah, I'm not going to give too much away, but we're going to have to, we're going to be, in order to stop people, you have to be adaptable, right? Because in college offense, it's not the NFL where every offense is pretty much the same. I mean, college, they're wildly different. So you have to be adaptable and adjustable, and you got to have answers. I think that's what that's what keeps me up at nights, and the fans, like, you can't keep getting beat on the same play or the same thing. I mean, that's why I think people get most frustrated.
You're right. I mean,
yeah. You got to be able, okay, you may get us once on that, but we got, now we got to take that away. We got to make you do something else. I think that's like the heart of defense too. It's like, there may be a play or two here or there, or something happens, but we got to be able to fix it. That's my job.
I feel like you've been on the message boards. Like it's like you're speaking the fans' language.
No, I don't.
I know you have.
I don't get on there. I don't get on there. But yeah, it's during the course of my career, I don't get on there. But sometimes you always have friends tell you about things, which is like, hey man, don't worry about what they're saying about you on the message board. I'm like, well, I wasn't worried about it, but thanks for telling me. Yeah.
What kind of player do you look for? I mean, do you like bigger defensive tackles? Do you like bigger linebackers? I mean, is there? I don't want to say you have to paint it with the same brush every time, but I mean, like,
yeah, no, it's a good question. I mean, no, I have not. I think when you come up through the ranks, right? I mean, I played Ivy League football. I call it Division 68. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and worked my way up through coaching, that you just look for the best and the toughest players and guys who can get the job done. So I've never been all hung up on size, you know what I mean? Because my job is to make it fit, with guys who can play ball. So I'm really looking for guys who can master their position. Now, as I've reached the upper levels, you do like to have those guys who can fix it if there's a mistake.
Sure.
That's what
erasers.
That part, yeah, erasers, right? Or the guy, yeah, because you're always going to face what I call unscripted plays. Happens all the time. You prepare guys forever on things, and then you're going to see something in the game you haven't seen before. And so now that's an unscripted play, I call it, right? Because I haven't really shown them that particular play or that formation versus that play, and you need guys who can fix it. So that, you do like those guys, but they don't always have to be the biggest guys. They just have to have great football intelligence. Malcolm Rodriguez, a linebacker I had with Oklahoma State, he was a wrestler. I love wrestlers, if we can get them, because they get people on the ground. He was a wrestler, and he's still with the Lions, and I don't even know if he's 6 foot, undersized linebacker who I moved from safety. But he could learn the scheme and play fast, because there's the ball's always going to end up pretty much. You get some unpredictable things, but if I call a certain defense and they run a certain play, the ball's going to end up here.
We will wrap up this episode of Beyond the Orange right after this.
A beacon of hope in a world of high prices. Look to the skies, Knoxville. Super savings is here. Right now, get 0% APR, 0 down, and 0 payments for 90 days on select models, plus 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance during our Super Summer Sales event.
And don't forget about back-to-school service savings on mobile, pickup, and delivery.
Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford location.
To pay for stuff, spending.
I do not know.
Babe, candy. Spend me. Use me to buy stuff.
It's never too early to learn more about personal finance. At Hearthside Bank, we work closely with our community to help meet your goals and achieve your financial dreams. Hearthside Bank, always within reach. Member FDIC.
I was coming home. I had a flat tire. The local authorities proceeded to ask me some questions, and then that led to my arrest. There were some facts that needed to be presented that could help me with my case. I was exonerated. I would contribute that to Mr. Garza and his staff's efforts. He assured me that he would do all within his power to assist me in seeing this through.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us.
Brought to you by Food City. It's the Ask Coach Heupel Show.
Hello, and welcome to Ask Coach Heupel. I'm your host, Josh Heupel. Glenn asks, Coach, how does one join the Vol Navy? It's a great question. Well, Glenn, you don't necessarily need a boat. You need a friend with a boat. Always arrive with beef, fresh cut by a Food City butcher, and you'll be welcomed aboard. This has been Ask Coach Heupel. With me, Coach Heupel.
This week's Food City Flashback takes us back to 1998. It's the great T. Martin against South Carolina. 23 consecutive completions. At the time, it was an NCAA record. It was broken just a few years ago. Credit to number 17. Had a heck of a career in that season. Ended pretty magical for Tennessee. What's the goal this year? Is there one overarching goal? What do you want to get done in spring practice? How important are these next 15 days?
Yeah, you have to go one step at a time. You will always rise and fall to the level of your habits. So the goal is to develop great habits. And that comes not just in the weight room or off the field or with your schoolwork. It comes how you think and how you study the game and how you approach the game. That's an habitual thing too. So how you learn football. If you are great at applying yourself, whatever level you have, if you're great at applying yourself and wanting to learn and be coached, you develop those habits, you become a great player, and then you become a great defense and a great team. So right away, we're just working to build the best habits in the players that we can do.
He's Tennessee defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. Coach Knowles, we appreciate you going beyond the orange with us.
Thank you.